All right, it is 4:30, so we're going to go ahead and start. This is our Wednesday, September 4th closed session, and I will call the closed session to order now at 4:30. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak, or do we have any correspondence received on our closed session items?
No request to speak, and the council did receive correspondence in their folders.
We have it here. Okay, thank you very much. So at this point, at 4:31, we will go ahead and recess to closed session. And we will return at 6 o'clock for our regular city council meeting. Thank you. Well, hello, everybody. We are going to start in just 1 minute. We finished a closed session, and council members are on their way down. All right, it looks like we have everybody now for our meeting, so we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you, everybody, for coming. This is our Wednesday, September 4th, 2024 meeting, and it is 6:02. So I'm going to call our meeting to order. And Mr. Melching, our city attorney, do we have anything to report out of closed session?
Not this afternoon, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Madam Clerk, have we received any correspondence on our agenda this evening?
Correspondence is in your red folders.
Right here. All right, thank you very much. And if you would you please call roll?
Councilmember Estrada.
Here.
Councilmember Carwin.
Here.
Councilmember Sobek.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Dinas.
Here.
And Mayor Zimmerman.
And I'm here, thank you. I believe we have our ministry leader, Tanner Williams from Revival Christian Center, Christian Fellowship, but I wanted to say welcome and thank you for coming tonight to give us some words of inspiration to help start our meeting.
Yes, thank you so much. And again, good evening. My name is Tanner. I am an intern at Revival Christian Fellowship. And I would like to thank the city of Menifee and its councilmen to desire their meetings to be pointed in the right direction with prayer to God. Now, with that being said, would y'all join me in a word of prayer? Lord, we want to first thank you for your grace and your mercy that you show us each day. I want to lift up everyone here to you. God, give these council members great wisdom in all the decisions they make. We lift up all community workers, public service workers, police officers, and firefighters. Keep them safe and give them a deep desire to strive to work diligently to protect us and this city. We pray for peace and order from all citizens and businesses. We pray for the churches who faithfully preach your word in this city to stand out in this dark world and be a light that this country was built on. We pray you open our hearts to receive your love and let our life be marked by the action of love. We pray that this city would continue to flourish and all would be a blessing in this community. Thank you, Lord, for your love and your mercy. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Williams. We appreciate you coming today.
Of course, thank you.
Thank you. All right, as we have a little tradition here to pick somebody from the audience to lead our flag salute, and I see Christine Fontes. She is a friend of the city. Christine, if you don't mind, could you lead us? Thank you. All right, everybody please stand. All right, thank you, Christine. All right, we're on item 5, presentations. There are 3. The first 2 we're going to do up front, and so I'm going to ask, the first one's 5.1. This is our National Preparedness Month proclamation and our CERT recognitions. We're going to do them both together up front, and I'm going to ask Vanessa Barrera, she is our Human Resources Analyst, to join us up front. And then I believe Joseph Silk is here, CAL FIRE is the EMS Specialist, if he can join us as well. Check. All right. So we have Vanessa Barrera. She helps us with our emergency preparedness program here in the city of Menifee. I know she goes out into the community sometimes at HOAs and talks about things that their community can do to be prepared for any disasters or how to shut off your gas unit and things like that. So anyway, we're just so pleased with all the great work she does here. I'm going to turn this over to her, and she's going to explain a little bit more about the fact that we're declaring this month Emergency Preparedness Month.
Thank you, Mayor, and hello, everyone. As mentioned, my name is Vanessa Barrera, and I serve as the city's Human Resources Analyst. I primarily focus on risk management and emergency management functions. And in the emergency management world, we encourage the public and our employees to be prepared, and we do that by asking them to build a kit, establish a communications plan, and practice evacuation routes. And although we encourage everyone to be prepared year-round, September is annually recognized as National Preparedness Month. And this campaign was established by our Federal Emergency Management Agency, also known as FEMA, so to bring light to the importance of being prepared. And we're very excited to have everyone come out when we, as the mayor mentioned, when we go out there and do presentations. And anytime, anywhere, we're here to help the city bring one step closer to being prepared. Thank you.
All right, so Phil, maybe we can take a photo together real quick here, and I'm going to present this to you as we proclaim September as Emergency Preparedness Month. All right, now for phase 2 of this program that we're doing here on this agenda item. I know that we have some of our CERT members here today. Some of them have recently accomplished being FEMA-approved basic CERT trainers for training our Menifee citizens. So I'm going to pass the microphone over to Joseph Silk, and he can explain a little bit more about the program.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, Mayor, thank you guys all for coming. In my short time here as the city CERT coordinator, I've grown quite fond of the program. It's basically a community emergency response program that allows members of the community to trained in basic CERT skills, first aid, search and rescue, to help in case there's a natural disaster or some type of emergency that takes place. Recently, we had 4 of our team members and myself, Chris, Chet, Dave, and Michael, who can't be with us today, complete a 3-day CERT basic train the trainer class. It was attended by approximately 60 individuals throughout the state. Most of those were paid representatives of cities and departments. Our 4 members made up a very small portion of a volunteer group who was there, and it was quite important to the effort that we had. With that being said, our CERT basic training for the end of the month of September has been posted live on the community service website underneath the Menifee Lifesavers tab. And I want to express thanks, not just as a representative of the fire department, the city, but also as residents for the volunteer work that our CERT trainers and all our CERT members do to ensure if there's a national or a emergency that our community is well established and protected in those situations.
So if we could have Chet Hill, Chris Raven, and David Faust come on up. Let's give them a hand. These fine gentlemen have volunteered their time, and I know that they do an awful lot for our community. You see them when we have our Independence Day events and all of the city events that they're out there helping people learn about emergency preparedness and also how to do CPR and all the things that they do. So it's a wonderful program, it's a wonderful team, and we're just very proud of all of you. So congratulations for passing the program, the FEMA program, and we're very, very pleased that with all the things that you do. So. hang on one sec. Now they're official. All right, congratulations to our CERT team. Good job, you guys. Okay, we're on item 5.2. This one could get a little emotional, so I'm going to warn you ahead of time. I'm going to ask Stephanie Delfasi to please join us. Sorry? I'm sorry? You're talking? Yeah, I'd love. Okay, well, come on up. Tell me who you are.
I'm Ellen. I'm CJ's grandma.
Okay, so this is Ellen. She is CJ's grandmother. Some of you may remember a couple of years ago, it was very tragic and very sad here in Menifee. We lost a young man. His name was CJ. He battled cancer, and this is just brutal because it happened when he was 8 years old and 9 years old. Now I'm going to get choked up here. And 10, and he succumbed to that, and it was very sad here in Menifee, and I remember that day. We all came together, and today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be proclaiming September as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. We're doing this in memory of CJ. We're doing this because it calls attention to this condition, and it's one of those conditions that affects deeply families all across the globe. And we want to give strength to those young children who unfortunately suffer, and we call them pediatric patients, but we want to be thinking about their families, and we want to be thinking about their caretakers and those who have them in their care. So I don't know if you're prepared to speak. Maybe you do a better job than me because I'm getting choked up thinking about it, but we want to do this in honor of CJ. So tell us who you are, and hopefully we can get through this.
Thank you. My name is Ellen. I'm CJ's grandma. This is his mom, his sister, and his dad, and his aunt also works for the city of Menifee. CJ Smile, which is a local nonprofit established in 2022 in loving memory of CJ Delfasi, who left us far too soon at age 10, is dedicated to uplifting children battling cancer. Our mission is to infuse hope and joy into the lives of these brave young warriors and their families through personalized support and blessing envelopes. This year alone, we've sent over 80 envelopes to the kids and their families. Raising awareness about pediatric cancer is vital. It drives research, improves treatments, and garners crucial public support. We are profoundly grateful to our dedicated board, volunteers, donors, and local organizations like the City of Menifee and the Menifee Police Department for their unwavering support. Let's continue to spread hope, increase awareness, and stand by these young fighters and their families. Thank you for your steadfast dedication to this cause. It means a lot to us. Thank you.
Stephanie, do you want to come on up? Yeah, we want to give this to you. And I'll just share, those of you who might be curious or wondering about a little bit more about CJ, if you go on Facebook and if you search CJ's Smile, you'll find it. So I'm going to give this to you. And let's take a photo. We are hereby proclaiming September as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. right, thank you, everybody. We appreciate you. Okay, I believe our next item, we can sit down because it is a presentation item, so we'll return to our seats. Okay, our next item is 5.3. This is a Winchester Community Plan informational update by Riverside County, and I see John Hildebrand with the County of Riverside is here, and he's going to provide an update. Council members, this is kind of a receive item without too much dialogue, but we appreciate you, John, for coming tonight and to give us an update on what's happening to our east.
Thank you for having me today. Tough to follow the last one. Sounds like a great organization and great to bring awareness to childhood cancer, and so thank you for doing what they do. So thank you for having me here tonight. I really appreciate the time and the effort to provide an update to our Winchester Community Plan. My name is John Hildebrand. I am the Riverside County Planning Director, and I got a brief presentation to kind of walk you through what the community plan is doing, what the purpose of it is, and where we're going next steps. I'll be happy to answer questions afterwards. So jumping into it here. Starting with a kind of a brief background history of how we got to where we are today, our outreach efforts related to the plan, the project's vision components, and finally the public hearings, which are coming up shortly. In a very brief sort of historical purview, this project started back in 2016 with the Board of Supervisors initiating a general plan amendment to start the planning process. Out of that came some community engagement with Winchester Community Group, multiple community workshops. We did presentations at the MAC group, and we worked with them extensively to look at policy, planning, land use changes, and design guidelines for the Winchester community in and of itself. Fast forward, COVID hit, planning efforts slowed down like everything did at that time, so we tabled it for a while, and then 2024 popped back up again, and our efforts picked back up again to get this thing through the pipeline and move it forward to get the efforts completed for the Winchester community itself. So we continued our community engagement efforts, and we're planning on taking this thing to Planning Commission next month and board in October. Just a brief history of our most recent community engagement efforts. We had a workshop at the Planning Commission. We had 2 meetings with Winchester MAC recently. We met with the city staff here at Menifee a couple times to talk about this plan. We went with Temecula staff, and we're probably meeting with Temecula staff one more time as well. So what does it do? The vision of the Winchester plan addresses land use and housing, community character and design, preservation of natural resources, open space, and mobility and transportation are the big ticket items this project addresses. Physically, what are we doing? What are we changing? What are the entitlements that are being asked for? It's a whole slew of things. I'll briefly touch on these. Of course, the county has the general plan. Under the general plan, there are multiple area plans. So we're amending 3 of our area plan boundaries to facilitate the new Winchester policy area. We're creating some design guidelines that brands the whole area and has best practices for design, architecture, landscaping, monumentation. Again, we're amending the 3 boundaries in the policy areas. We're removing the Highway 79 policy area in its entirety. We're creating a community benefit fee with a nexus study and its replacement, and we're amending our circulation plan as well. And writing the report for this is super complicated. So specifically, where is this located? What does it look like? Our area plans in the unincorporated areas of the county include the Harvest Valley, Winchester, Sun City, Menifee, and Southwest. And those are outlined there in the general respective acres of what they are. Now, what's being created out of this plan is the Winchester downtown core area, which is 652 acres, and then the Winchester policy area, or the WPA, which is proposed at 23,000 acres. The core area is identified on that map by that little orange square in the middle, and the Winchester policy area is that greater boundary around the lake and that area where it says 1 and 2 and just a little bit to the north. And I have a more detailed boundary of this map coming up next. And just for context, the Highway 79 policy area extends north and south of the Winchester area, which again is being removed as part of this process. The new area, as it's responded to, it's going to be put into the Winchester policy area, new areas 1 and 2, which include 1,900 acres and 507 acres, respectively. Here's a more detailed aerial photo of the new boundary for the Winchester policy area, generally bounded by Stetson on the north, west on the Briggs, which is the city boundary, Scott Road on the south, Hidden Valley Road, which is that little road takes you up to the lake, and includes about 23,000 acres in total of the policy area boundary. So specifically today, within the policy area boundary, this is the county's mixture of general plan land uses that exists today. And just to bring some highlight to the conservation habitat, there's about 12-13% of all the land under conservation currently. Another 11-12% are underwater, not physically, they're general plan that way. And then about almost 20% have a medium density residential land use designation, which allows a development of 2 to 5 dwelling units per acre, which is a pretty common standard general plan land use you'll find everywhere. So here's what's changing. Only within the Winchester policy area, the changes are limited to it. There's approximately 227 parcels that are having a new general plan land use, which includes about 1,400 acres. As it exists today, if you were to develop the entire policy area out based upon its existing general plan land uses, it would be able to support almost 30,000 dwelling units. That 29,278 dwelling unit count today is a mixture of what's already there, existing homes, and also vacant land that has not been developed yet. And the number is an average from the high to the low of what that range could be within the general plan land use. So that's what could be developed today without this being approved, without this plan going forward. Those are existing general plan land uses. So what's changing? The areas in the color are the new general plan land uses, and it shows the distribution of where those properties are being changed. There is going to be approximately, with the changes, about 9,700 additional dwelling units as a new capacity because the land uses are going up. That's within the policy area. And then over to the left, where that sort of rectangular strip is, that's being added to the policy area as well. Another 2,500 units are being added to that area through the general plan land use changes for a total of 12,000. Now, this is, again, the average of what could be built. This doesn't take into account right-of-way, utilities, set-asides for conservation areas. This is, again, just the average based upon the land uses, the delta between what's there today and what's being proposed to change. And this is really a build-out plan for the next 20 years, 30 years or so. And I want to mention also that there is no construction associated with this project. This is a master planning effort to change general plan land uses. There's no physical construction taking place as part of this plan today. Any new development that would occur would have to go through its separate planning process, entitlement process, environmental review process, CEQA process, and all their regular improvements related to transportation, utilities would be analyzed on a case-by-case basis. This doesn't skirt that system. This just is a master plan for the future build-out, but individual site projects that come in still have to go through all that process. So here's a summary of the changes from the existing land uses to the proposed. We're adding a few more acreages, medium-high density residential, MHDR. We're adding some more acreages to business park, and we're adding some more acreages to mixed-use areas. This chart shows, again, the existing general plan land uses and their existing acreages compared to what's proposed under this plan. So I pointed out the ones that are changing a little bit more, and they are in yellow. And this presentation will be up on the Planning Department's website tomorrow if anyone wants a copy of it. One of the sort of core parts to this is the design guidelines. The design guidelines are built for a couple of reasons. They are intended to provide a cohesive, sort of branded way of building out Winchester community over time through best practices related to site planning, architecture, walls and fencing, gateways, monumentation, landscaping, and a trail system. And these guidelines are intended to be used and applied so there's a cohesive look, feel, design for any new future development within the area. And they also include best practices for not just residential development, but also commercial and industrial developments as well. Specifically, they're there to establish and promote a community character that's cohesive and consistent, provides consistency for the built environment, sustainability through the preservation of open space and identification of trail systems and parks through the area in conjunction with new development, transit-oriented design considerations, and encourage, obviously, recreational opportunities for the future. There are all kinds of pictures associated with it for best practices as it relates to monumentation, signage, streetscaping, landscaping, and just general locations for best practices and how to design your site. These are guidelines. They're designed to provide an opportunity for build-out scenarios under these sort of best practices and guidelines that are there for them. So the Winchester Highway 79 policy area extends north and south beyond the Winchester plan. As I mentioned earlier, this has been a policy area boundary that's been in our general plan and 3 area plans for the past about 15, 20 years or so. That policy area is being removed in its entirety and being replaced with a program for a community benefit fee. This will be tied to new residential development. There is going to be a specific fee associated with it. And what does the fee do? It's designed to address future VMT and mobility through the area. There's an identified location for a future metro station and a future park and ride within the community, within the Winchester community area that these dollars will be going to for future development. Those dollars collected under this community benefit fee program, in addition with some possible state funding and county funding, will help build those 2 facilities out in the future. All new residential tracts will be subject to this fee. Existing approved residential tracts are exempt out of it. Also, in addition to that, this county recognizes that the city here has some interest in possible annexation into that 1,900-acre area, which is identified as number 1, that rectangular shape there. That area is being master planned with some general plan land use amendments through this process, but ultimately, if the annexation process goes through, you'll have general plan land uses in that area as well. That is the presentation. In a nutshell, I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hildebrand. We appreciate the update and being made aware of what is taking place there. Council members, do we have any questions or comments? Mayor Pro Tem Dinas.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming here tonight. On the chart that showed the dwelling unit changes, so am I understand that the plan now is almost 30,000, 29,000 now, and you're going to add another 12,000 to about a 41,000 or rounded number? That's how many homes are planned for?
Yes.
Possible homes?
And as it exists today, without any changes to the land uses, that area community could be built out at max capacity at the 29,000. So that's without any changes. So the areas identified on the map that show where the color areas were, those are the areas that are being changed. The general plan land uses are changing to distribute those 12,000 units throughout that community.
I guess my concern is that how, where all that traffic's going to go. I mean, go to, either would head south or head west to get to the, Temecula or here, and we already have our corridors to the freeway is already overtaxed already, and
Sure.
and another 41,000 homes would mean probably twice as many vehicles trying to get into our 215 here, and I see that I think that to me it raises a big concern down the road. It says you're collecting money to build a transit stop and ride share, but it sounds like Menifee is going to be left to their own to figure out how to handle all that traffic coming.
So
that has not been taken into account.
yeah, a couple points. The increase, the delta, the difference between what's there today that could be built and what's being proposed under this plan is a difference of about 12,000. So again, existing capacity today, potential at max build up would be 29,000. So again, each project, each track map that comes in, each new development is analyzed on a case-by-case basis to look at infrastructure improvements, roadway improvements, right-of-way, off-site improvements based upon the scale and scope and size of whatever that project is. This plan looks at general plan land use changes, but again, it doesn't allow any new projects to get out of having to do the entire CEQA review process, including a VMT analysis. So we still have an opportunity on a project-by-project basis to look at whatever necessary improvements have to be done in order to support that level of density in that development that's out there.
Okay, well, I know this is down the road a ways, but, as a Menifee resident, I hate to see all that development come this way, because we're already, just a little bit development we're having up Dominagoni and up that way is now, adding to traffic here. I can imagine if you take all those and multiply them by, 41,000, what that traffic will be. That's my main concern. And hopefully that, these new developments will be required to, pay their fair share of any kind of interchange expansions or improvements we have to make along the 215, not because of Menifee residents, but because of Winchester residents.
Right. They certainly are eligible for TUMF, DIF fees, CFDs as needed, so we create those as well to, again, pay the fair share up front, the initial construction part of it, and also ongoing maintenance costs if there are any around the area. So again, each project is looked at very carefully to ensure that they do pay their fair share, they do the improvements necessary to support that and the community as a whole, so it's cohesive in the long run.
Thank you.
Next in the queue is Councilmember Sobek.
Thank you. I kind of had the same thoughts of the impact that if you had mentioned that each individual development has to do a study. What happened to the study now with all of those homes coming right now into the city? We haven't seen any mitigation efforts.
So the difference between this plan and a site-specific plan, this is a programmatic plan, meaning it's a very high-level analysis of the cumulative change from what's there today to what the general plan land uses are in the future. Site-specific does exactly the same type of analysis through VMT or GHG, but on a site-specific level. So they still have to do all the same, they're still subject to CEQA, still subject to any of the technical studies that need to be done, and out of that comes mitigation measures, which are conditions. So there's milestones for certain build-outs. So as an example, if you have a 100-home track at the 50th home, there's certain improvements that have to be done in order to support the second half of that as a phasing plan. So the way we condition projects is by milestone, prior to grading, after grading, prior to construction, and there's very specific conditions of approval that have to be met for infrastructure improvements along that line as things get built out over time. So
yes, I know all that, and I know it's just a presentation tonight. And as it was mentioned, you're looking at a metro station, a park and ride. I just would like to see on your plan a circulation element. Looking at it as a whole, not in the individual ones, but looking at the master plan. How is it going to affect the adjacent cities, especially Menifee to the east, where all of these residents are going to want to get to the 215 on right now Scott Road or Newport Road? And so just some thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is very concerning, very concerning.
So there's a couple ways. WRCOG looks at infrastructure improvements on an annual basis. They look for changes in patterns in development. They reprioritize, allocate funding for infrastructure improvements as organically communities grow out. And there's an opportunity to kind of maybe reprioritize some of those funding efforts on an annual basis to support if this grows quicker than
every
others too.
City's going after those funds.
Sure.
RCTC was going to put a 1% tax. They decided not to. They said they're not going to be able to go forward with few of the multi-million-dollar projects. We know that Caltrans is no longer widening freeways. They're in the maintenance phase of Caltrans. So I just ask you as a planning director to please look at the whole, as a whole, the circulation element and the effects on the adjacent cities. So I just want to make that clear.
Understood. Thank you.
Yeah.
Councilman Estrada's next.
Hey, Mr. Hillenbrand, thanks for being here tonight.
Good evening.
So you're a representative of the county. Are you able to share the county stance on Menifee annexation, or is that something you would leave up to the county supervisor to speak on behalf of? Does the county take a definitive stance on the annexation, preference or non-preference? Well, what can you provide us?
Good question. The answer is going to be neutral at this point in time. It's a process, as you know. There's the establishment of the sphere of influence, and then the votes and everything has to go through it as a process. So that is a conversation to have with the Board of Supervisors at that level. We're just here to present kind of our efforts with that area as part of the community planning and recognizing that your efforts are moving forward as well.
Okay, thank you for being here, Mr. Hillenbrand.
Sure.
All right, seeing no more questions or comments, we want to thank you for taking the time and giving us an update. We appreciate you coming.
Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good night. All right, council members, we're moving on our agenda now. We're on item 6. This is agenda approval or modifications. Madam Clerk, do we have any modifications to tonight's agenda?
Not tonight.
All right, council members, all in favor of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, our agenda is approved. We're on item 7. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak? We do. All right, so let me read this real quick. This is the time for members of the public to address the council on items that are not listed on the agenda. The Brown Act limits the council's ability to respond to comments on non-agendized matters at the time they're made. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes on any single item. If you're a speaker, there's a little clock that's going to be up on the screen here. Keep an eye on that. It'll count down from 3 minutes. All right, Madam Clerk, would you call the first speaker, please?
Charles Blankson, followed by Michael Knighton.
Welcome, Mr. Blankson.
Thank you. Good evening, council members. My wife and I moved to Menifee about a year and a half ago, so we are new to the area. At the last city council meeting, I called into the council meeting from home, and I was really impressed by the work that you guys are doing, the city council members are doing, going to all these events and community programs and so on, to get to know what is happening and so on. So I commend you for the good work you're doing to make the city livable. My concern today has to do with the relationship between the city of Menifee and the home developers. And I'm specifically referring to KB Homes, which is where I live. I know that after the developer, the KBA Homes has built the parks, they hand them over to the city, and then the city does any maintenance or problems that occur. My first problem has to do with the city parks. I know of 2, Underwood Park and Remington Park. The shaded areas have no lights, so there's a security problem out there. You take your kids or your grandkids over there, it's dark, you don't see the kids, so you are worried about what is going on, so I hope that the city will take care of that. Now, the second problem that I'm bringing up has to do with the road network in the residential areas. I'm specifically referring to Fletch Court, Hopscotch, Rumor, Patches, Blackjack. Interestingly enough, the roads east of Paroma are all neatly surfaced with asphalt. So I'm not very sure whether there's a different jurisdiction that's responsible for those roads over there, apart from the city of Menifee. I know that where we live is within the city of Menifee. So about a year ago, when we moved into the area, I had the occasion to talk to Ricky, and I got a letter from the city manager, Amiro, about those roads that are still rough and unsurfaced. And I was told that since there were new houses that were being built, they didn't want the roads to be smoothed out, only to be destroyed by the construction trucks and so on. That was understandable. It's been a year and a half, and still nothing has been done. All the houses in the area have been developed, so I'm still waiting for that day when the roads will be smoothed out, so we don't destroy our tires and so on. Lastly, there's a short stretch of dirt road on Antelope between McLaughlin
Mr.
and
Blankson.
Ethenac. This short stretch, which is less than 100 yards, is a dirt road full of deep potholes that can break your chassis and springs. I've had occasion to discuss this problem with Ricky and Mayor Zimmerman at one of the art festivals where my wife was displaying some artworks.
Mr. Blankson, your time is up.
Oh, time already?
If you can wrap it up, we'll give you a little bit more.
Okay, so those were the 2 problems that I wanted to bring up. first of all, the lights in the playgrounds areas,
Yes.
and then the unfinished roads in the residential areas. And then the McLaughlin, Ethernac, Dirt Road. I was going to tell you where the money to do all those projects will come from, but since my time is up, I'll send you letters.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you coming tonight.
Michael Knighton.
Welcome, Mr. Knighton.
Still choked up over CJ, sorry. On April 26, 2022, I stood up in front of everyone and took the oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I took the oath very seriously, but something happened recently, and I don't know how to proceed. What exactly does defend mean? That's where I need the council's help. Councilman Estrada has a history of suppressing free speech. I was blocked from his Patriot Estrada Facebook page on October 31st, 2021, and until January 18th, 2022, when policy number CC04 was passed 4-1 with Estrada voting no. I wasn't going to bring it up at the next meeting about the blocking because that night was about Matt. I waited and then typed up a speech, but it turned out Melching must have read my mind and added an item to the agenda regarding a social media policy. Over the past 3 months, Estrada has been posting videos on his Facebook social media page and sharing it with local Menifee groups, along with buying ad space on Menifee 24/7. I've been to many council meetings and planning commission meetings, and I believe I understand the operations of the city. So if I see one of you spewing BS, I'm going to call you out. That also goes for anyone in the seats to my right or in the aquarium. Estrada does not like the fact that I call out his lies. He's pissed off about that. He focuses more on creating campaign bits during the public meeting rather than focusing on the agenda packet, and it's obvious. So here's my dilemma. Because I disrupted his lies and exposed him to the public on social media, Estrada, as an elected representative, went to a high-ranking government official in an attempt to quell my freedom of speech. I am not the only one he has done this to. This is a blatant attack on the free speech of members of the public. I have spoken with the lady who was silenced by Dr. Kromowski, the former board president of the Temecula Valley Unified School District. With the help of the ACLU, she not only prevailed in a lawsuit against Dr. K, she successfully led the recall effort to get him removed from office. I don't want to go that route. While I have zero proof, I do have a First Amendment right to speculate on something. I have 3 letters right here from an attorney attempting to suppress my freedom of speech regarding a Facebook post on Cynthia Nemelka's Facebook group regarding Estrada. For obvious reasons, I will not publicly say the names of those involved, but there is a connection. I am requesting that the council immediately act on this matter. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Knighton. Madam Clerk, next speaker.
No other speakers.
No more. All right, thank you very much. We're going to move on now. Council members, we're on item number 8. This is council member updates and comments. We'll start with Councilman Carwin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Short week this week. I attended our Rotary Club meeting. I think most of us were at the courthouse dedication and ribbon cutting. I stopped by the senior food box distribution at La Ladera Park, and I wanted to just give this piece of information out there. One of the biggest questions I got from people in line was, why isn't there more fresh produce in the distribution box? So I asked the people from the OC Food Bank why that was, and it turns out that it's because produce varies in weight. So it's unpredictable how much the trucks are going to weigh, and they had a problem bringing the trucks over from OC, from Orange County, because they were getting cited for being overweight, where 2 apples today weighs different than 2 apples the next week. So they only use prepackaged foods because they can predict and measure how much the trucks are going to weigh, and there's no variance. So it's an unfortunate result of having to transport all of the food over from Orange County, but that's why there's no fresh produce, not because they don't care about the health of the seniors, but because they can get more food out to the public by doing prepackaged items. And then the last thing, I would like to give 2 shout outs to our Public Works Department and thank them. Number one, Bradley Road, just south of Salt Creek, where the new development is going in, Riverwalk, was torn up really, really badly. And though we're at the conclusion of that project, there'll be a major resurfacing of Bradley Road, but they were able to go out there and do some blading and ease the tension on that roadway a little bit, and it made it a little more passable. It looks ugly still, but it is more passable, and they were able to get that done because we have our new asphalt truck that was able to do that. And then secondarily, I don't know if you remember a couple of meetings ago, Armin Blaze came up here and he was talking about the curb in front of Chase Bank. That's been done by our Public Works Department. They were really responsive to that, and I've been getting just flooded with positive feedback on that from people saying a lot of unexpected benefits to that. People turning out of the bank and traffic flowing through there made me wonder why we didn't do it years ago. So I just wanted to thank our Public Works Department for being so responsive to the public, and that's all I've got.
All right, thank you. Next up is Councilman Estrada.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. On August 23rd, I went to go visit the Sun City Cruisers. They're a very funny group and very energetic, and I was over at the restaurant called Archibald's, and I thank Sal, the president, for inviting me, and I enjoy making myself available to them. They have a good time. And then on August 29th, I went to the Sunrise Meadows HOA. The residents had a bunch of questions there, and I made myself available to the constituents, and that's all I got. Thank you very much.
All right, very good. Thank you. Councilmember Sobek's next.
Thank you, and good evening, everyone. I have a few pictures I'd like to share, but before I go into this slide, I'd like to share with you that I attended the Menifee Rotary Club. We had a presentation about the Southwest Higher Education Coalition, and it was very informative, sharing that with the public, how the coalition is bringing higher education to our area. After that meeting, our little local Rotary Club decided to donate to that coalition, and they are an example of what other community groups can do. This right here is a picture I'd like to share. The Menifee Justice Center had its dedication, and we were honored to be with the Patricia Guerrero, the Chief Justice, Judicial Council of California. And one of the things that was said by the presiding judge, Judith Clark, was that now there is a new, better, safer, improving justice center for all. The other one was underserved. They weren't able to provide the services that this one does. This one, I was really impressed. It even has a child care center for anyone that has to come to court or gets on a jury. And so it was a beautiful, beautiful justice center. Also, the mayor went with me. We were able to attend this football sports camp here in the city of Menifee. For several years, there has been some retired football pros, Sherman Krokoff and Travis Davis. Sherman played for the Kansas City Chiefs, and Travis played for the Steelers, and they had some other football pro players out there as well. They have a nonprofit, and they love coming to Menifee. As you can see the group of children there, I will tell you, they just had a fabulous time. And so we're grateful for their organization coming and partnering with our city of Menifee so our children have this opportunity to hear from, you know, retired pros. And it was a great, great morning. After that, this week I attended Menifee Interfaith and Community Service Council, and I have to tell you, wow, this was their first meeting back since the summer, and the things that are going to be going on, I'll just, let you know, they're going to be partnering with the Faith in Blue, which I'll talk a little bit about. The Fall Festival is coming up. They're partnering with that. The Thanksgiving free meal that they provide to anyone in our community in the Santa's Workshop. And we received a report at that from our POP team, and they were able to share with us some of the work they've done with homeless during the summer. They helped put 3 homeless into treatment. They have 2 that they were able to provide room and board. They had 3 that were accepted traditional housing. 1 of them was a veteran, 2 of them were seniors. They were able to assist 2 to return to their homes. And they have 4 right now in case management. What a shout out to our POP team and what they're doing to help homeless in our city. This is the Faith in Blue. At the interfaith meeting, we had the opportunity to hear from Raven from Mill Vet, a very wonderful nonprofit that we have in our city. They help families and veterans and military people all over the world. They package, every month they have a packaging, and they accept donations of all kinds of toiletries, goodies, beef jerky, protein bars, and they specialize those boxes to those soldiers who have signed up. And so one of their next packaging, they're partnering with our Menifee Police Department as well. It's going to be at the Case and Acero Center. It's going to be on October 5th, so mark your calendar from 1 to 4, and you can sign up and come help package, or if you'd like to drop off donated items, you can do that at the police department, and this flyer is on the millwet.com website, and I just had to give a shout out to them. They do a wonderful job. Well, my last thing I'd like to share is, you know how I often mention here that I represent Supervisor Washington as one of his commissioners on CAP, Community Action Partnership. So after one of our city council meetings, when we had one of the seniors come and talk to us about WM and the increase with their waste bill, the very next day I happened to be attending this meeting. And so because of the assistance that they provide, I thought this would be a great opportunity to share this information with our community. It is based on first come, first served basis. It's based on also, you have to qualify. But they offer utility assistance, weatherization. They have a volunteer income tax assistance program, which they look for volunteers to provide that, and dispute resolution and more. So there is going to be a presentation that our staff set up with CAP, and it's going to be on Thursday, September 26th from 10 to 11 at our at Case and Acero Senior Center. So just share that with any of your neighborhoods that you feel might like that information, and that's all I have for tonight.
All right, very good report. Mayor Pro Tem Dinas is next.
Thank you. Since our last meeting, I attended the RTA Board of Directors meeting, also the RTA Southwest T-Now meeting, which was hosted here at Menifee. And then today, I attended the RTA Admin Committee meeting. That's my report. Thank you.
All right, very good. I'm going to go quick here. This is since our last meeting on October 21st, on August 21st. On Thursday, August 22nd, as Councilmember Sobek mentioned, I attended the Rotary Club meeting, and the speaker was Lisa DeForest, who's a council member in Marietta, and she and Councilmember Sobek are working together on this higher ed coalition, and it's a really good thing. So it was great to have updates there. I serve on a group called the Southern California Edison GAP panel. It's a government advisory panel. We had a virtual meeting on Thursday the 22nd. Council members, just give you a heads up. There's a good chance that this Edison is going to want to have a future representative on that. But I would recommend that you do take a look at it because it's pretty informative. You learn about their regional plans and things like that for charging stations and looking at keeping us resilient. All right, so anyway, and then there was that evening, there was a social mixer that was a Polynesian theme and was hosted by WellQuest, and so I attended that as well. On Friday the 23rd, most of us council members attended that ribbon cutting ceremony at the courthouse opening, beautiful place, as was mentioned. That evening on Friday was Arts Council Menifee's Summer Nights. They have music at the Countryside Marketplace, and I think Councilmember Sobek also stopped by because there was a 70s band called Silver Comfort, and they did a great job. So hats off to Arts Council Menifee for doing Friday and Saturday nights in the summer. And then the next morning, Councilmember Sobek and I were at Courts Ranch for today it's called the Menifee Football Camp, but I like to still call it the Neil Winter Football Camp because that's how it started, and they honored him back then when they first started the program, and so I still have my Neil Winter t-shirt, and I love wearing that. And then on Monday the 26th, I attended the Western Riverside Projects and Programs Committee. That's a subsidiary of RCTC. And then on Wednesday, the 28th, the Chamber of Commerce held a midday mixer. It was down at the Lake Elsinore Stadium, and I got to say, it was a good turnout. There was about 40 people that came to a mixer in Lake Elsinore, but it was for Menifee. But it was a good opportunity for me to be there and to thank the folks at Lake Elsinore Storm Stadium for hosting our Menifee night a week prior, and it was just a really fun night, so glad we got to do that. Let's see, then on Saturday the 31st, Arts Council Menifee hosted a Hawaiian mystery dinner along with the Vagabond Theater performers, and that was at the K. Sinicero Center. My wife and I attended that. That was last Saturday night, and it's great to see theater programs happening and things that promote culture in our city. We need more of that. Yesterday, I attended the Interfaith Council meeting, and as Councilmember Sobek said, Raven Hilden was the speaker, and she did a wonderful job with Milvet. And I'm looking forward to this Friday because it is Foodie Friday, and I'm hoping that the temperature cools down just a little bit out there so we don't sweat too much. But anyway, that's my report. Anybody else have anything else to add? All right, hearing none, we're going to move on our agenda. We are now on item 9. This is the approval of the minutes. They're the minutes from August 21st, 2024. And if anybody doesn't have any changes, I'll ask all in favor of approving those minutes from August 21st to please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, we're moving to our consent calendar. All matters on the consent calendar are to be approved in one motion unless a council member requests a separate action on a specific item on the consent calendar. If that item is removed, it'll be discussed individually and acted upon separately. Unless otherwise directed by a member of the council, the vote on ordinance adoptions will reflect the prior action of each council member when the ordinance was introduced. However, if a council member is not present at the council meeting, their vote will be reflected as absent. Madam Clerk, do we have any request to speak on any of our item 10 consent calendar items?
No, we do not. You do have correspondence in your red folders.
Correspondence in the folder. Thank you very much. Council members, do we have any items that we would like to pull from consent?
10.9.
Okay, 10.9. Any others? Can I get a motion to approve the balance, please?
So moved. Second.
All right, thank you.
And Mayor Zimmerman, I know you mentioned approving the balance, and we reflect the prior record. Just for the record, I did vote no on 10.5.
That's right. Thank you very much for the clarification. It'll reflect your original vote. And that passed unanimously. We are on item 10.9, the first pulled item by Councilmember Sobek. This is an agreement with South Star Engineering for construction management on the Holland Road 215 overcrossing project. I see our director, Mr. Nick Fiddler, is here, Public Works. Councilmember Sobek, did you have questions or comments?
I do have just a couple of questions, since this is a highly anticipated project in the city of Menifee. I do see that they're asking for an increase to the budget. Could you explain what has happened here?
Sure. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and council members. Nick Fiddler, Public Works Director. I do have a PowerPoint presentation if you would like me to walk through it, or I can just simply explain.
Just in a nutshell.
Okay, in a nutshell. As you're aware, this project is a very complex project. There has been a significant amount of utility issues that we've run across through the project. There's been weather delays. There's been material delays. All these have resulted in the project being extended in time. We've already issued extensions through the contract, through the for the contractor, and this is just catching up with those same extensions that were offered to the contractor. The project is anticipated to be substantially complete next month. However, there is a lot of additional cleanup work around the site. We won't be completing a lot of the landscaping and other components of the project, and there's closeout documents that will take us well into next year to finish up and wrap up all the resident engineer files that are ultimately submitted to us and to Caltrans for acceptance of that project. So there has the construction manager has done a great job in reducing some of the liabilities of the project through the construction time, but it's outside of their control, it's outside of the city's control, and it's outside of the contractor's control. So these additional services are required to keep the project moving forward and making sure that we have the presence out there for our contractor and ensuring that we're getting the product that we bid and desire.
Thank you. So you answered my second question. It was anticipated to be open in September, so now it's delayed until October. But you mentioned that there would be a few other things that they will still be working on. Do you anticipate any further costs if they have to do lane closures, et cetera, that they would pass that on to the city in change orders?
No, the work that will be completed after the project is substantially complete will be off to the sides. It's all of the landscaping components of the interchange or the overcrossing. I'm sorry. So they will be able to do that either from the sides out of the roadway or off the shoulders if they're up close to it, because we do have wide bike lanes and whatnot that they can go ahead and continue the work that's right adjacent to the sidewalks. But most of it will be done from lower portions adjacent to the roadway.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that. I had those couple questions, so I'll, if anybody else doesn't have a question, I'll make a motion. Okay, I'll make a motion. We approve 10.9.
Mayor, I just wanted to commend our Public Works Director for personally working with Southern California Edison to get the energy out there to energize that traffic signal. Jeremy Goldman, the Government Relations Manager for Southern California Edison that you all know, has been working with us to get that, and we're hoping and praying and everything like that to get that all energized so that we can get that landing. But I want to commend our Public Works Director, Nick, for personally taking that on and facilitating that to get that open as quickly as possible.
Thank you for sharing that.
Councilman, thank you.
Okay, and I saw that passed unanimously, so we're now on item 11 and 12. Both have no public hearing or discussion items, so we'll move to item 13. Mr. City Attorney, do we have anything to report?
Not tonight, Mayor.
And Mr. City Manager, anything to report, sir?
Yes, Mayor, and council members, you may notice a new face at the executive table. She's a new face, but she's no stranger to the city. Rebecca Kramer, as you may know, has been with the city for over 3 years, and she has newly been promoted to the deputy city manager position. And I wanted the council to know and the community to know that she's going to be helping us in the executive office to pursue your vision and the mission of the city, which is to provide better services. And she's going to be helping us by managing directly the community services department and also the city clerk's office. And in addition to other projects, as you know, she's been very instrumental in helping us with our labor negotiations and other special projects. So I just want to congratulate Rebecca for that promotion. And I don't know if you want to say a few words or thank you or whatever is on your mind.
Thank you, Armando. I just want to thank the city manager and the city community in general for this opportunity. I love working for Menifee and look forward to continuing my career in this capacity. So, thanks.
All right, congratulations, Rebecca, and we have a lot of confidence in you. You've been doing a great job, so well done. All right, council members, do we have any future agenda requests? Hearing none, I'm going to go ahead and adjourn our meeting. It is 7:05, and thank you, everybody, for attending tonight. Have a great night. Try to stay cool out there.